Welcome back to the channel, everybody. You are watching probably at Disney, and Walt Disney World has been very busy in recent days. I'm talking new opening dates, new concept art, a surprisingly early closure announcement, a rumored new land development, hint, it has to do with the Skyliner, and a lot of news about Epcot's test track and just what this reimagined ride is actually going to be like. So consider this a park hopping new style roundup video along with some coffee fueled analysis and some extra details that flew under the radar. And we're going to kick things off at Disney's Animal Kingdom with what I think is some very good news. On June 16th, Disney announced, much to the surprise, I think, of everybody, that Dinoland USA's Boneyard, that dig site and playground for kids, is closing in September. In fact, the last day of operation will be September 1st of this year. Now, we all knew this was going to close as Dinoland USA is being replaced with Tropical Americas, a new Animal Kingdom land offering a wood-carved carousel featuring various Disney animals, an Encanto attraction replacing Dino-Rama in that parking lot carnival, and an Indiana Jones ride replacing Dinosaur. However, Disney was doing this in phases, with Dino-Rama having already closed and Dinosaur and Restaurantosaurus set to close next year. And I think most of us assumed the Boneyard would be closing then as well, but apparently that's not the case. And while I don't have any insider info on this, I'm taking the September closure as good news because it could mean Disney is running ahead of schedule. But in addition to this closure news, Disney confirmed that a new playground will be part of Tropical Americas once the land is complete. And while we don't know much more about that, I think it'd be pretty easy to keep a lot of the Boneyard's theming and rework it for Indiana Jones with an archaeological dig site spin, which would give kids something indie themed to do who maybe can't ride the thrill ride. But again, that closing date for the Boneyard is September 1st, and both Dinosaur and Restaurantosaurus are set to remain open throughout the rest of 2025. Now, let's hop over to Epcot because this is where things get really exciting. So in recent days, Test Track has been showing signs that its new version is about ready for guests. And now Disney has officially announced its reopening date, and that is July 22nd, just 2 days after the debut of Magic Kingdom's new Starlight Dream the Night Away parade. Now, a few weeks back, I speculated Test Track may have been delayed since the Disney website had it listed as opening just in 2025, not summer 2025. And Disney's summer media event steered clear of revealing any new information about the ride or giving an opening date. And at one point, I even heard that dates were shifting. But apparently, whatever was going on has been resolved and earlier than previously thought, which is another good sign that maybe things are running ahead of schedule, which I will take all day long. But I will say, part of the reason for the speculation of a delay is because Disney has shared next to nothing about what Test Track 3.0 is going to be, and what little info they did share just really wasn't very clear. Fortunately, that has changed, and we now know a lot more about what to expect from this new version of the ride, some of which can be gathered from its new official description, and which reads, "Get ready for an unforgettable joyride where the thrill of the open road meets the innovation of the future. As you zip past scenic vistas, discover how new technology is shaping the way we connect with each other and the world around us. Then get a glimpse into the future of mobility in the cities of tomorrow before zooming off on an electrifying high-speed race that will leave your imagination soaring." So here's what stood out to me from that description. First of all, scenic vistas. That sounds like actual detailed show scenes, and more than one, which we're going to get into here in just a second. Also, the future of mobility and cities of tomorrow. That sounds like Walt's vision for Epcot and Epcot attractions of old. And then finally, an electrifying high-speed race, which of course is Test Track's signature outdoor lap. But in addition to that, Disney also offered us 2 sneak peeks of 2 of the ride's new show scenes. And the first, as you can see here, is just filled with light, actually over 29,000 points of light or light nodes. And according to Imagineering, this is to show you how your car sees the world and how your vehicle is aware of its surroundings. This is definitely an example of the more technological part of the ride's new narrative. And I think it looks pretty cool. I already like it more than some of the show scenes from Test Track 2.0. And Imagineer said it will be more dynamic and move and shift when you're riding. So I need to see the finished product, but this was a good sign. But what really won me over is the second show scene. And it's very similar to the ride's interior concept art. But this video and Imagineers, they told us a lot more. First of all, this room full of trees we're seeing, its setting is supposed to be the Pacific Northwest. So we have a confirmed location that we're visiting during the ride, and it makes me wonder if it's just one of many locations we'll visit. Again, speculating. I also want to mention this little sign. It makes me wonder if we're going to get a simulated water or ocean effect, like we're driving along the coast. And I wonder if that could be accomplished with that projection dome tech we've been hearing about. And I would not be surprised if we see some stars overhead through those trees and that foliage, also courtesy of the projection dome. Secondly, Imagineers noted this version of Test Track is not conceptual like the previous version, but rather rooted in reality and that celebrates the pleasures of driving and travel. Again, that sounds a lot like World of Motion, Epcot's original transportation attraction that was supposed to inspire this one, and that I had worried may have gotten lost during development, so I was very happy to hear this. And while Disney noted that technology is still a focus of this attraction, what we're seeing in this note about it being rooted in reality, I find to be very encouraging, and I think we're going to get the best of both worlds. Other things to know, cast member previews start as early as next week, which is June 22nd. So if you're wanting to avoid spoilers of what awaits inside Test Track 3.0, I would steer clear of social media and even YouTube beginning next week. Also, annual pass holders, DVC members, Golden Oak, and Club 33 members will get an opportunity to preview Test Track before it opens. Those dates have not been announced, but are expected to be revealed at any time, if they haven't already by the time you're watching this video. Also, this version of Test Track will still offer a single rider line. Whether that will be available during the ride's early days or not is unknown, but the sign is already there. Finally, I want to mention that WDW News Today was able to see and hear a bit of the ride's spiel, and apparently it also contained references and themes related to World of Motion. So Epcot history will be in Test Track 3.0, and I think that's incredibly encouraging for Disney park fans. So overall, I'm pleasantly surprised with what we're seeing and hearing about the new Test Track. We'll have to wait for the finished product to know if they successfully threaded the needle, but from what's been shown and said now, I wonder if Test Track, along with Spaceship Earth of course, may be the most Epcot-themed attraction once it's complete. Now let's move right along to Hollywood Studios, where in recent days there's been buzz about how Muppet Vision 3D has been preserved and could live on. This all began with Jane Henson, Jim Henson's daughter, who at a panel for the 70th anniversary of the Henson Company shared how they talked with Disney about bringing Muppet Vision to VR and how the show was documented with virtual reality cameras. And I personally don't have any details on this. I'm just repeating what I have heard. But the fact that it sounds like the Hensons had to approach Disney instead of the other way around, I don't know if that bodes well for how eager Disney is to bring the show back. However, VR is encouraging since that would likely capture the full theater and its effects in a way that just a recording or Disney Plus wouldn't be able to do. Keeping things at Hollywood Studios, if you're tapped into the Disney news cycle at all, you have likely heard that Disney displayed updated concept art for its Monsters, Inc. Monstropolis, replacing Muppets Courtyard. I didn't jump on this story right away, since a lot of the changes between the original art and this one were minor and mostly cosmetic, nothing like the scale of changes we saw with Magic Kingdom's Piston Peak concept art. But for those keeping an eye on this project, the most noteworthy change, in my opinion, is that the Monsters, Inc. Door Vault coaster has been moved. It is believed that Disney bumped the building back about 20 feet and further into the Casimir parking lot to create a sort of courtyard in front of the ride entrance, and I think this was likely due to necessity, since the exit to the Muppet Vision Theater, which is now known as the Glob, no longer the Monstro, since that empties out back there. Creating a new exit for the theater would mean another construction project and changes to the theater, and Disney probably wants to avoid that. Plus, they need to prevent a bottleneck in this area. I'm also hearing that this theater is going to be really tall, perhaps taller than we're even expecting, so that may have been a factor in moving it as well. But this new open space in front of the building has created a new mystery within the concept art, and that's these triangle-shaped shade structures, which some are assuming is going to be a playground. Personally, I'm not so sure. It doesn't look that permanent to me. I'm thinking it's either an extended queue or possibly a character meet and greet. Other changes and maybe improvements is the new brickwork near the entrance, which now resembles scales, and a new fountain in place of the Miss Piggy fountain and instead of that plain concrete eyeball from the original artwork. Disney needs more water features and fountains, so I was glad to see this. I am hoping we get some updated ground level concept art at Destination D23 because while Disney has made some small upgrades, I think they need to do more to sell Monstropolis to Disney fans. So hopefully we'll get that here in a few weeks. Finally, and this is really exciting in my opinion, there are reports bubbling up that Disney's road construction around Coronado Springs and Blizzard Beach and at the intersection of Western Way and Buena Vista Drive may have more to do than just improving traffic flow and convenience. As hinted by the Disney Dish podcast, the high price tag associated with this project may be part of an investment to make way for a rumored new resort complex for Walt Disney World, including an expansion of the Skyliner due to the 100 plus acres in this space, which is now deemed suitable for development. And the reason I believe this is because Disney kind of has to keep building resorts, specifically DVC resorts, due to how things are set up financially. It's kind of complicated. I'm not great at math, but it's what I heard years ago, was explained to me years ago, and Disney's actions have kind of supported that. So I'm not telling you it's fact, but it does make sense. And part of the rumor for this resort complex is one of the resorts will be following in the footsteps of Universal Orlando's new Grand Helios, in that it'll be built inside a park. The closest Disney park fans have ever had to something like this within the US is the Grand Californian at Disney California Adventure or the Beach Club and Boardwalk at Epcot. But a resort inside a park would be next level in terms of perks and views and likely DVC sales. And it is something that has been floated around in the rumor mill in recent years. And I tend to wonder if Universal's Grand Helios and possibly its demand has finally made Disney go for it. If Disney is committed to this, if it's happening, if they're excited about it, I think we could hear something at Destination D23. However, I also think that may be dependent on just how long the road work is expected to take. But the question I have is, what theme are they thinking for this resort? And should we expect more than one for this complex? So there you go. Like I said, there is a lot going on at Walt Disney World. I feel like Disney's Parks and Resorts turbocharged building blitz is really coming to fruition. And I think what's happening in Animal Kingdom and Test Track and this new rumored resort space is just really encouraging. So let me know which reveal you found to be the most exciting. What are your thoughts on what we learned about Test Track? Are you feeling more optimistic about this attraction? What is your take on these changes to the Monstropolis artwork? Do you have any predictions? And if this resort complex rumor proves to be true, what theme would you like to see? Also, if you enjoyed today's video, if Disney park news and analysis is your thing, I would so appreciate if you would consider giving this video a like and hitting that subscribe button for further Disney park news and updates and deep dives. But in the meantime, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a magical day.